All right. So, just to start, if you want to introduce yourself and a little bit about what you do.
Sure. My name is Lyndall Young. I live in Delta, Colorado. Um, I am based out of the Western Colorado Area Health Education Center. I am a nurse, and actually, my daughter had a liver transplant and kind of got into doing donor alliance talks through AHEC and was introduced to them and their process and just love the idea to start to teach and actually have just fallen in love with it. Absolutely love teaching. I teach PCP, QMAP, and CPR first aid with them, and started teaching in Grand Junction for them, and then became the Delta Montrose area teacher and coordinator for them. So started teaching in the Delta Montrose area, and then of course COVID, started teaching their online classes, and so been doing Zoom classes now. For let's see, I think we started in March, and so not about 9 months. So yeah, and that has just opened up a new world, and I'm really enjoying that as well.
That's really cool. So, you guys are still doing everything online then?
We did have some in-person um, classes um, as well. Not this month, but before that, we were teaching some in-person ones, but also keeping with the Zoom classes as well and offering them this month.
That's cool. Is it difficult to transition teaching between the two, or is it a fairly easy?
No, I mean, my first Zoom class, it was a little, different, kind of getting maybe my first couple, kind of getting it down. But now the transition isn't hard. I think maybe even I've, learned a few things from the Zoom classes that I've been able to kind of move over into my classroom classes. Um, and so, yeah, I think they've benefited each other really doing them both at the same time.
That's
So.
awesome. That's good to hear. So now that, like you said, we're going on 9 months of this kind of online version of everything, are you
Right.
seeing any new benefits or challenges associated with everything online?
Sure, there's definitely both. So I think one of the benefits is that the people that go through their Zoom classes, they kind of get a crash course, a lot of them in Zoom meetings or even in computers. And that has been a benefit, but also like a struggle, something that we've had to deal with. But I've seen people that weren't really even comfortable with emails. Um, Kind of, and it's definitely been some extra time put in to help those people, phone calls back and forth, talking them through things, but actually seeing them, the ones that weren't even really comfortable, receiving and sending emails, to joining Zoom meetings, and really kind of coming full circle with technology. So I think that has been definitely something that we've had to learn to deal with, but an extra bonus that they actually get with the class. They become a lot more computer savvy with it. And I have too, I mean, it's been, I think everyone in the world, I had been in maybe, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe a half a dozen Zoom meetings before this. And now, heck, I feel like I'm, maybe not an expert, but definitely more comfortable and able to do a lot of things, and even in my private life, do some things, through Zoom. My like I said, my daughter's had a liver transplant, and her donor family actually lives in Iowa, and so we've set up some Zoom meetings and talked with them through Zoom and some stuff. So yeah, it's been
Oh,
good.
that's really cool. That you guys get to connect like that. I definitely agree. Like before the pandemic started, I didn't even know what Zoom was, and now I use it every day.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And not just like meetings like this. I'm actually a yoga instructor too, and we've done, last spring we actually did yoga through different, not always Zoom, but different formats, such like Google Meets and Facebook Lives and different things. And my kids, actually, we homeschool, but my kids have had different things through Google Meets and different lessons, and I mean, I think really it's really opened up the world kind of, this aspect of it. My daughter is a ballerina. She has point shoes, and she was able to take classes through like American Ballet Academy, and different things, and or ballerinas all over the world that she would take lessons from. And so it's had definitely benefits for people as well, along with the struggles that we've taken away a little bit of that human connection. But I feel like one of the things I have really tried with my Zoom classes is really to connect with each student on a personal, really try to connect with them so they feel comfortable asking questions. Part of that is a little work going up to the class. So, I'm emailing them. I've started, if I don't get an email back, I text them and make sure they know those lines of communication are open. And so they really feel comfortable, texting me, or they feel comfortable talking to me during the Zoom. And I try to make sure I talk to each student, and I have them tell me a little bit about themselves and stuff. So they feel like the lines of communication are open, so they kind of have that connection. And I'm noticing actually then when I teach in person, and maybe it's a little bit bigger class, that I want to still have that connection with them. And maybe with a really big class of students, I might not have gotten that. I'm not texting them back and forth, and I have just a few days with them to kind of get that connection. And so that's been something that I have now tried a little bit harder, in my in-person classes to get that connection.
Awesome, that's really cool. So speaking of like your connection with your students, are they communicating with you like how they're doing, how they're coping with everything?
Yeah, I mean, it's of course it's all over the board. I think as we move further, it's a little bit harder. People are kind of, and me including, everyone I know, kind of getting tired, of this. It's kind of new and different in the beginning, and I think everybody kind of feels a little bit of the fatigue that is happening. And then of course around the holidays, it's harder not being around some of the normal family and stuff that we're around, and I definitely see that in the students. Most of them, though, I think they're taking this class to further their education and maybe get a job, and this has opened up more healthcare positions. So I think there's some hope in those students that are taking classes, that they feel like they can get a job that really makes a difference and will have constant hours, that it's not like a restaurant that's going to close down or something like that.
Are you seeing an impact on their decisions to go into healthcare as a career choice?
For sure. Yeah. It seems like, my classes are cool because they have a wide variety of people. So we have people, just coming into the healthcare world, clear ones that, are CNAs and maybe have been in the healthcare world for a long time and are, wanting to get that QMAP. So a lot of times, during PCP and QMAP, I have, this wide amount, but definitely seeing more people that are new to healthcare that, maybe we're in retail or food service of some sort, that hours have been cut, or their place is closed down or something, that are wanting to get into something that could be a little bit more stable for them, for sure.
Awesome. Are you seeing a difference in their approach to like coping strategies to burnout and fatigue based on those who've kind of been working in healthcare for a while versus those that are just starting now?
Sure, for sure. So a couple different ones on that. I have definitely seen that. I have had people taking my classes that are heartbroken with some things in long-term care of what we were doing there, and they're wanting to move to like more of like a home health, or stay in healthcare but try to get into a different position. And then also on that, we actually are teaching some different like burnout techniques and relaxation, and really taking our healthcare workers mental health as a priority, and teaching some of those things during class. We definitely have new COVID training in our class as well. We do, donning and doffing PPEs, but then a lot of mental training as well that goes into it. Plus, not even for our, for them, but also for, our residents and clients. So we talk about the struggles and that they're going through with anxiety and depression and separation from their normal, support systems, and how we can be better healthcare providers for them, filling that void that they definitely are having now. And so we go into that a little bit, trying to think out of our box, how we can really help them with their quality of life during this crazy time.
That's awesome. So, let's see. Do you think the most important things that have been learned that might impact the way we do healthcare in the future?
To wash your hands. I think follow protocol. I think that maybe there was some, out there that, had kind of maybe gotten away from that, that now it's, so important to follow protocol, to keep yourself as healthy as possible during that time. And, hopefully that will definitely move with us, and just to be on top of things in general, and really follow that protocol. So I think that definitely will go with
Yeah,
us.
we were talking the other day that we kind of hope to see the culture of illness change a little bit. That like when people get sick, not even just with COVID, but with anything, that like they'll stay home, they'll wash their hands, they'll wear their masks. Just
Exactly. Just taking everyone's, not just your health, but everyone's health around you. I definitely have had kind of a different with that since my daughter did have a organ transplant. We were very, she wore a mask when she was little, and, we were very kind of living in a bubble, lots of hand sanitizer and washing our hands, and kind of saw that like, oh my gosh, why does that person stay home? They're so sick, and different things. And I definitely think you're right that this has changed that, and kind of brought kind of opened everyone's eyes to not just thinking of their own health, but thinking of others as well.
yeah, that's awesome. So speaking of family, how are you and your family doing now that we're 9 months into this?
Right. Yeah, definitely feeling a little bit of the fatigue that everyone is feeling, but we actually we homeschooled before this. So I have a senior in high school, and then my daughter is a seventh grade. My son is a senior, and so that didn't really change for us too much. My husband works for. He's actually a public works director for a small town beside us. And so he has to work through all of this. So, if people want water or be able to, flush their toilets or want electricity or any of that good stuff, he has to keep working. And so we also live where we have animals like chickens and goats and horses and cows. And so we're outside a lot. And I think that has been huge. But, of course, things like, sports and performances, dance performances, and things like that, how those things have changed have definitely impacted us. But I think, we're definitely home more, which has been good for the family unit, so we've really tried to take it as that time together has been, a blessing to our family, and try to spin it in a positive light, even when, we want to go out to eat and, hang out with friends. It's, we get to stay home and have that time that we'll probably, never have again. So it's, we've tried to put a positive spin on it.
That's awesome. That's good. So, how is your community reacting right now? Are you guys, I know a lot of places are experiencing a new surge. Are you guys as well?
We are definitely. And, we actually live on the same property as my parents, who are both over 70, definitely in that high risk group. They have both underlying health issues. And so that's been huge for us to keep them healthy. And we that's been hard because our lives are definitely meshed since we live next door to each other. We're always outside doing stuff together. And so we stay 6 feet away. We both wear masks. We had Thanksgiving outside with food on 2 different tables. Our goal, because we are still out and about. My husband has to go to work. I go to, a little bit of work. My kids are still in a few things that are open and doing stuff. And so our main goal is, to keep them healthy when we're around them. And so that's been huge because our community is definitely seeing an increase, and masks aren't great worn around here in public. And so that has been, as you see that increase, you think you would see the increase of mask wearing and stuff. And not that I'm out a ton, so I don't know, but that has definitely been just something I've noticed. So it does increase the anxiety. My best friend is the emergency coordinator for our county. And so she's the one that deals with all the numbers and, everything. And so she definitely has a high stress, high anxiety job right now. And so I get that for her, so from her. So just trying to raise awareness and hopefully, have people maybe, we're getting close to break for Christmas break. And once we see that, hopefully people, be at home a little bit more and be able to have those numbers not be just, every day. I know counties on both sides of Mesa County and Montrose County are also seeing surges. And so, yeah, it's a scary time for sure.
It definitely is.
Yeah. And what about your county? Is it surging as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. I think kind of all of Colorado seems like, I think probably everywhere. I mean, as we come into flu season and cold season, I mean, it just definitely, we knew it was coming, right? That, we're inside more, and just all these normal bugs going around can kind of, just increase it.
Yeah. So it's been a little bit anticipated, I guess you could say. So you not only are you an educator, but you're also a practicing nurse as well. Is that correct?
Correct. Mhm.
All right. So
Yeah.
how are things going at work
Um,
for
yeah, it's been
practicing?
difficult for sure. But we wear our protective equipment and, care for our clients and definitely have seen some depression, in um, my home health clients but feeling blessed that I can still see them, I can still go in, I can still care for them during this time with my protective equipment so I don't pass anything to them. But yeah, everything has definitely changed a little bit and has its new challenges, but lucky for my position is that I'm still going in, and they have had some, like the hospice in our community. Actually, Hope West was an outbreak site for a while, and so like the hospice nurses quit visiting some of the patients. And so I was really thankful that I could still go in and they could have that connection with a little bit with the outside world.
Awesome. That's really important.
For sure.
So in the initial interviews, a lot of people were saying that at the beginning there was just a lot of changing policies on different safety measures and whatnot. Has that kind of evened out? Are policies a little bit more clear now, or?
I think it has slowed down. I actually still hear that in my classes. My last PCP class that I taught, they were saying, after we watched one of our CDC videos, they said now, it seems like we get, a new policy every week. And we talked a little bit about how even though it seems, that way, they're just constantly, since this is new, it's just kind of a morphing thing, and we have to go with this because the more they, the new things they learn, then we want to implement them to, make the care that we're giving the best possible care. But I think it has slowed down a little bit just because, we've been dealing with it now for 9 months. So I think it has definitely kind of some parameters have been set, and maybe at least in my world, things haven't been quite as wild the last couple months with that.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. kind of
Awesome.
the new normal, really.
It is. And part of
Yeah.
the new normal is a lot of adaptation, I think.
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So, but I think the more people do it, the more it becomes normal instead of this huge thing. And so when something changes, they're a little bit, it's a little bit easier to change with it after it. So hopefully that's the case.
Well, I think we covered most everything that we wanted to talk about. Is there anything new going on with you that you wanted to share?
Um,
Anything that kind of sums up the last 9 months of pandemic experience?
right. Yeah. Just that, I'm excited to keep teaching through the Zoom. I mean, it has just been awesome. And the way we do it, it just has really opened up so many doors and open up doors for people. I don't think that people realize, like in our area, there are some people that are way out in the sticks, that they would maybe have to drive, 2 or 3 hours to where we actually offer a class. And they're able now, instead of having to drive that 5 times, they can drive it once, and it becomes a much more doable task, and helps with money and everything. And so it just really has opened a lot of doors, I think, for a lot of people. And I just, I hope we can continue doing it. I think it has definitely added something, another aspect to our classes, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lyndall, for
Sure.
being willing to meet with me today.
Of course.
I
Of
really
course.
enjoyed our talk. You had a lot
Yeah,
of really awesome stuff to share.
great. So, well, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. Just let me know, and yeah, hopefully the next 9 months we have a turnaround and a vaccine rolls out. That is another thing that has been, good. I think in we see, not only the light of spring when people can get outside and it's not the season anymore, but also this vaccine rolling out some hope with people, not only with our clients and residents, but also with healthcare workers, just giving them as much, um, you know, peace of mind as possible.